So good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for tonight's presentation and one of my favorite topics. Tonight's presentation, if you missed it, is Fossils of Northern New Mexico with Pete Worland. Before we get started, I want to just make everyone aware that this presentation is being recorded on Zoom. My name is Kristen O'Hara. I'm the Director of Programs here with Pajarito Environmental Education Center, or PEEC, in Los Alamos, New Mexico. I will be your moderator for tonight's talk. PEEC is, of course, the nonprofit that operates the Los Alamos Nature Center. Visit our website, peaknature.org, to learn more about visiting the Nature Center and our upcoming events. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge our wonderful members and donors. Thank you for your generosity and support. For details about becoming a PEEC member or donor, or just to learn more about our programs, again, please visit peaknature.org or stop by the Nature Center. Okay, so just a few logistics before we get started. This is a hybrid talk. So our presenter will be taking questions via Zoom chat and from our in-person audience. For those of you watching from home, you can find the chat feature in the Zoom app menu bar. Type your questions to the PEEC moderator, that's me, in the chat window anytime during the talk, and I will read them during the Q&A section at the end of the program. And I also ask everyone in the audience to hold your questions until the end of Pete's talk. It's just better for everybody. Please remember that not everyone is in the room here with us. Not everyone in the room here with us has a microphone. Only Pete and I do. So there may be a delay when we are listening to questions from the live audience. Don't worry. We'll be back in a second and try our very best to repeat questions for everyone to hear. Okay, and then after this talk, you'll receive a short evaluation in your email. Please take a moment to fill that out. Your input helps us improve future programs. Okay, and then without further ado, thank you for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to Pete, who's going to give us more of an intro and get us started. Pete, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. Well, first off, just thank you for coming, you all that are here in person. And for you all that are online, thank you for joining up. And we are going to talk about the fossils of New Mexico and more specifically, northern New Mexico. But I just want to say I had a fun time, and I'm thankful that I have this opportunity to put this together. I'm actually not like a professional paleontologist or anything like that, but I am interested. And there's a book here, The Paleontology of New Mexico by Barry Keyes, 2008. I read this book twice since August, and I have 20 pages of handwritten notes, and it was just fantastic. I was so interested in it. And it is interesting about New Mexico. New Mexico fossils cover the entire geologic time from about 500 million years ago till today. At the surface, you can go to different places in New Mexico and find Cambrian age fossils, and you can find Pleistocene fossils the whole way through every period of the geologic Phanerozoic eon, it's called. So this book here, this would be a great one to have. So you'll see many notes in here where I refer to pages. And one other book that you all might like to have, it'll be referenced in the slides, it's called Ancient Landscapes of the Colorado Plateau. And this book shows what they think the Earth looked like through geologic time in the Four Corners area by a fellow named Ron Blakey, and I forget the other gentleman's name right now, Wayne Ranney. But that is really a good book as well. So I have 49 slides, and I have 45 minutes, and we're going to cover 540 million years. And so that's about 15 million years a minute. So I have a lot of text. I'm not going to read it all. I'm just going to kind of be flying. But if you want a PDF of this file, Kristen will probably talk about that later. We can email it to you because it's 169 megabytes in PowerPoint. So let's just get started, and I'm going to do something right here on this slide and the next, and then we're going to go to the end of the presentation, which goes back to the Cambrian, and we're going to come up through time to the present. But this is okay, I'm not Greek speaker. I'm not a good Latin speaker. I'll do terrible on the words, but this is a Parasaurolophus pubescens. And this, a nearly complete skeleton of this guy was found in the San Juan Basin of northwest New Mexico. And it's on pages 289 and 290 of this book. And this is what this dude looks like. And there is one of these at the New Mexico Museum of Natural History and in Albuquerque. So the little head part there was about 1.4 meters from front to end. And this is a New Mexico. This guy lived in New Mexico in the Cretaceous time. And that was from 65 million years ago back to 125 million years or so ago. Let me show you this next fossil here. Okay, that's me. I did go to school in Indiana, engineering geology, and then went back to school and got a Ph.D. in civil. I'm really a wastewater guy at the lab now. And I've had a lot of fun teaching geology for fun at UNM-LA the last 8 years, and one of my students is here tonight. Okay, I'm just going to go back through the slides. So I'm mammoth teeth, mammoths, bison, bears, saber-toothed tigers, glyptodonts. We're going back through geologic time, Miocene, Oligocene, Eocene. We're in the Cretaceous here, going back through time, Jurassic, Triassic coming up, Permian, Pennsylvanian, and we went through Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Mississippian. But I want to pause just for a minute on this slide, and I know I'm taking more than a minute per slide, but this is the geologic time scale, and this is for the last 540 million years. It's called the Phanerozoic eon. And Phanerozoic in Greek means visible life. It's like at this time, around 540 million years ago, fossils that you could see began to be seen in the rocks. And older rocks than these, they couldn't see fossils. And so that's all called the Precambrian. We know now that there was life before that time, but at 540 million years, at the beginning of this eon, you begin to see shells, trilobites, brachiopods, this sort of thing. The eon itself has 3 eras: Paleozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic. And you can kind of see the meaning of these. Paleo, ancient life, from 540 to 250 million years ago. Mesozoic, that's middle life, 250 million to 65 million years ago. And Cenozoic, that's recent life, and 65 million years to now. Now, you see all these periods here, and let me just go through these names. You've probably heard them, but let me just go through these from oldest to youngest. There's 6 or 7 of them here in the Paleozoic: Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Mississippian, Pennsylvanian, Permian. Those are the periods of the Paleozoic. Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous are the periods of the Mesozoic. And the Paleogene, Neogene, and Quaternary are the periods of the Cenozoic. Now, it's interesting, this arrangement of the periods was defined back in the 1840s. Geologists started to really people started to look at the ground really seriously with the Industrial Revolution in England, because they needed coal. They started like digging and looking for coal, digging canals, digging mines, and that was in the early 1800s, and by the mid 1840s, this had been defined, but they didn't know how old the rocks were. They just knew the order, and different fossils occur in the different orders. It's something called the principle of faunal succession. The fossils are not all mixed up. They have a order to them. And so that was known by the 1840s, but it wasn't until the early 1920s that radiometric dating came in. So it does appear we now begin to have an idea of the actual ages of these different periods. I put a couple other things on here. Major extinctions. There's 5 major extinctions that are seen in the rock record. One at the end of the Ordovician, one at the end of the Devonian, one at the end of the Permian, one at the end of the Triassic, and then the one at the end of the Cretaceous. And there are these epochs we'll talk about in the Cenozoic era: Paleocene, Eocene, Oligocene, Miocene, Pliocene, Pleistocene, Holocene. And I put some mountains over here to the right. In Pennsylvanian time, there was a mountain building event in the central North America. It's called the Ancestral Rockies. The Rocky Mountains we have now are the second set of mountains. There was an older set back in Pennsylvanian time, and it basically eroded away before the most recent ones. And this one here, this mountain range here, this one here at the Cretaceous Paleocene. I put that there because it went over 40 million years or so, but it's called the Laramide orogeny, and that's what has made the present Rocky Mountains. And then the upper one here, what I put that there for is what's called the Basin and Range province, like the mountains you'd see in Nevada and southern New Mexico and places. Were all part of what's called the Basin and Range. The continent began to stretch, and you began to get normal faults and ranges and basins. So this is just kind of an overview, and I did put one more thing on here: Pangea. We all know about Pangea. Okay, well, Pangea was basically formed kind of during that period, kind of the Permian time, Triassic, Jurassic, a bit of Cretaceous, and then it began to break apart. So kind of during the Paleozoic, Pangea was coming together. Then it was together, and then it began to break apart, and it still is. So that's kind of helpful for me. So this is just kind of an overview of the big picture. So now let's start coming up through time. And what I've got here, these are some of the paleogeography maps in that other book. And let's go to Cambrian time. And the one on the left, can you see the 4 corners there? It's kind of like a cross. So New Mexico is in the lower right, Arizona lower left, Utah, and Colorado. So we've got the 4 corners, and all these pictures look for that. And during Cambrian time, they think New Mexico looked like the picture here, mostly above the ocean. It was not under the sea, except for the very southwestern tip of it, kind of down by the Boot Hill. And there's evidence of in the what's called the Bliss Formation down in that part of Cambrian age rocks. And the other thing I put on here, see where north is there? During Cambrian time, they think the whole North American continent was tilted basically almost 90 degrees clockwise. So the border, if you at that time, if you'd have driven from New Mexico to Arizona, you'd drive north. The whole continent was tilted 90 degrees clockwise. And what I did here, I jumped from Cambrian to Devonian because the maps for Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian kind of look like this. There was an encroachment of the ocean onto the land during this time. And so over here, we're in Devonian time, about 370 million years ago. And you can see the ocean is creeping onto New Mexico. Can you see that? And so we have what's called a transgression. They think there's been 6 times the ocean has transgressed onto our continent and regressed during the last 540 million years. They have funny names like the Sauk. Well, it's not funny. Sauk transgression, Tippecanoe transgression, Kaskaskia transgression. So the oceans have moved on and off of the land. And when they move on, you get marine deposits and fossils. When they move off, you get what's called terrestrial or land fossils. Okay, up here, I have some, you all that are remote, I've got a couple tables here with these fossils. And basically, Cambrian to Mississippian time, fauna means animals, and flora means plants. But I have some different fossils of trilobites, corals, brachiopods, crinoids. And I don't have here, but there were other weird, well, not weird again, just wonderful things like conodonts and graptolites and bryozoans and all kinds of cephalopods. Placoderms were those big armored fish during the Devonian time. And vascular land plants. You don't see land plants till in the Silurian, kind of like right here. So it doesn't appear there were land plants until the Silurian time, Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian. Okay, now we're getting up to Pennsylvanian time. And all these periods have reasons for why they're called what they're called. Like Pennsylvanian time is kind of named after a place in the United States where those rocks are well represented. But Pennsylvanian time, I want to talk about it for a minute because we are going to go on a field trip. Some of you may go on the field trip Saturday. But we're going to be looking at rocks of Pennsylvanian age. And these rocks, now let me show you where Los Alamos is on here. See, here's New Mexico. See that little county right there? Okay. It's amazing. They had ability to take pictures that long ago. Okay. But it went away. But there's Los Alamos. What happened here? Okay, and we're going to drive into the Jemez Mountains. And they think at this time the seas had invaded. And we're going to look at rocks kind of by Jemez Springs at Battleship Rock. And so we're looking at Pennsylvanian aged rocks. Brachiopods, bryozoans, crinoids, bivalves, ammonites. Lepidodendron is a type of, it's kind of like a tree, but I think it was more like a huge fern, but they got like tall, 30 meters. I have some examples of lepidodendron bark. This is when they had giant dragonflies and millipedes. During this time, it was very moist. There were a lot of trees, a lot of oxygen. They think oxygen levels may have been up to 30% rather than the 20% they are now. And so insects could grow large because the oxygen could go through their exoskeletons. I wouldn't want to run into a 6-foot long millipede myself. Okay, just more of some of the fossils. Okay, here, okay, these are some of the fossils of Pennsylvanian rocks, and we're going to be looking at rocks called the Madera Formation. And there, it's a gray fossiliferous limestone interbedded with black shale. And I just kind of wanted to give an idea of the size of things. Okay, so this picture is from Barry Key's book, and the picture itself is 5 times, if you had the book, 5 times real life. And so I found a little real piece of the septipora, and that's compared to the drawing. And that's the size of that compared to a dime. So this is a little bryozoan from the Madera Formation. These are some other fossils, animals. The one on the right's a gastropod. And again, you can see the actual size of many of these. The one on the left is an echinoid. These little spikes kind of stuck out from a little kind of a base. Those plates are kind of the places where the spikes attached. And so it was kind of fun to find these and look at them actually compared to the drawings in this book. Okay, a couple more. These are bryozoans again. The one on the right's a fenestrella. The one on the left's a rhombopora. But again, just to get a feel for the size of these marine creatures. So kind of what's up, like in these bryozoans, there was a little animal that lived in each of these pores. So these little guys were in there, getting their food from the water that floated by, and it was just full of creatures. So we're up through Pennsylvanian time. We're still in the Paleozoic. Now we're in the mid-Permian. So we're in the last period of the Paleozoic era at this point. And this picture of the Four Corners, you can see again north at that time, if you would direct the thing up north, the continent was actually turned about 70 degrees clockwise. And at this time, the Four Corners, we were about 10 degrees north of the equator. So 10 degrees north of the equator at this time, we're about where Panama is. Like Panama is about 10 degrees north. But what this is showing during Permian time, can you see how that looks like a sand dune? Okay, we're dry. The Permian period was a very dry period. Pangea was kind of congealed together at this time. And so it was dry in the inland part of the North America. And so these are large sand dune fields during Permian time. And the Glorieta Sandstone and the Abo Formation, these are well seen if you drive from Santa Fe to Las Vegas. If you're driving on I-25 and you're by Glorieta, especially, and look south, that beautiful mesa to the south of you, you'll see the Abo and the Glorieta Sandstone beautifully there. So one thing about the Permian here in New Mexico, down near Las Cruces, right down, see, right down here. So here's, Los Alamos is here, and the Boot Hills here, Las Cruces is here. In New Mexico, we have a national monument. It's called the Prehistoric Trackways National Monument, and it's in the Robledo Mountains, just north of Las Cruces. And there they found tracks. It's called Trackways, Prehistoric Trackways National Monument. I'm showing people in the room a book, but it has They found a lot of trackways of Permian reptiles, amphibians. What else do we have here? Uh, Paleosaur tracks, and it's mostly the tracks. And in just a minute, I'm going to talk about the New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Science. You gotta go. You gotta go there. It is one of the best natural history museums. And what's unique about it, it focuses mostly on just New Mexico. And one thing about that, we have everything from Cambrian to Pleistocene there. But they have a wonderful exhibit of the Permian trackways at the museum. Now, if you want to go, don't go tomorrow because it's closed. Okay, probably some of you knew that. They're working on the sewer system. They're updating, scenes and exhibits. It should open again in March. But it is a treasure. So I think we'll just kind of have to keep moving on here. Okay, the Triassic. Okay, we've now moved into the Mesozoic era, so middle life. Now, one thing I probably should mention right here. At the end of the Permian, it appears the largest mass extinction of species and genuses and everything happened at the end of the Permian. That's the greatest mass extinction that's seen in the rock record. And so after that, the Triassic, we move into the Mesozoic era. And in New Mexico, the two rock units that are most well seen at the surface, exposed at the surface, are these two. One's called the Moenkopi Formation. It precedes, it's older than the Chinle Formation or group. I got to go to Moab, Utah, in the last year and a half or so, and the Moenkopi is well exposed, that same formation in Utah, and the Chinle group is well exposed at what's the national park in there? I'm thinking about where the fossilized trees. Yeah, petrified wood. So that's in the Chinle group, and the Chinle group is here at Ghost Ranch. This picture is Ghost Ranch, just north of Los Alamos, about an hour and 15 minutes. And that's one thing about these sedimentary units. The Chinle Formation is at Ghost Ranch in New Mexico. It's at Petrified Forest in Arizona. Sedimentary units sometimes can cover large areas, even though there may be a few hundred feet thick. So the Chinle has a surface area. Now, Ghost Ranch is absolutely something else. It is beautiful. It's part of the Colorado Plateau. The rocks you see here are similar to rocks you'd see in Utah and Arizona. It's interesting, the history of this, the Stylophysis. I always mispronounce this. I always would put the emphasis on the wrong syllable. It's kind of funny when you first look at it, I was like, Coelophysis? But it's Stylophysis. This fossil is one of the earliest dinosaurs that has been found. And the first findings of parts of it happened in the 1870s. There was this thing called the Bone Wars in the 1870s to 1890s. There was a paleontologist from Pennsylvania, paleontologists from Yale, and they fought to find the fossils. Like if one guy found something, the other guy'd find something, and they even tried to mess each other's discoveries up. And it was called the Bone Wars. There's a movie about it. This one guy, Cope, did a lot of work in New Mexico. And in the 1870s, he found some things that he identified as this Coelophysis. But it wasn't until 1947, the American Museum of Natural History was on an expedition actually to Arizona, but they stopped at Ghost Ranch. And this guy named Whitaker, one of the people in the group, was like digging around, and he found this, 1 to 2 foot thick layer that had several hundred almost perfect articulated bodies of Coelophysis, all in kind of one place. And so there have been carloads of these fossils shipped to New York. There's a place in Pittsburgh that has a big museum. And so Coelophysis is one of the earliest dinosaurs. And I think I have a picture coming up here. He wasn't real big, but let's see. And it's our state fossil. Okay, did you know that? Okay. Let's see. So in the picture here, the reddish rocks at the bottom, you're at the top of the Chinle. And the lighter tan rocks on up are Jurassic in age. So we're right at the top. The Chinle is late Triassic. It means it was at the end of the Triassic. And that Entrada sandstone above is Jurassic. So here also they found phytosaurs. I'll show you some pictures. Probably the most complete collection of phytosaurs in the world. And itosaurs also, I'll show you a picture. Okay, but first, just looking at time here. Okay, so this book has some neat pictures of the one on the left. If you were in New Mexico and you wanted to look at Triassic rocks, you would go in New Mexico where the black is. So like Ghost Ranch, Triassic rocks. See, here's Los Alamos. Here's this Ghost Ranch area right here. And this one here shows Chinle Formation during the laying down of the Chinle. They think there was a river system flowing from the southeast to the northwest through northern New Mexico. So Chinle rocks are what they call a fluvial deposit, or aeolian, wind and water from rivers and stuff. Now here's a Coelophysis. Okay, so Coelophyses, as you can see, were kind of that size compared to a man. I still wouldn't want to see one. They think they were very fast. That Coelophysis means hollow bone. And 15 minutes ago, thank you. So they think they were light, they were fast, they had teeth, they could run, but that was about the size. And there's a wonderful paleontology museum at Ghost Ranch. That this is actually a picture from Ghost Ranch, and they have some of the blocks. The paleontologists are still working on them. Okay, now these start to get scary. Okay, shut your eyes if you're scared. Okay, we're still in the Triassic here, and this thing on the right is one of those phytosaurs. It's kind of like a crocodile, but it was different, and paleontologists could. All the bones go together. But some of these got 20, 25 feet. These were probably the biggest monsters during this time. The bigger dinosaurs haven't shown up yet. And he's attacking a thing called a Placarius, which was kind of the size of an ox, and it didn't have a lot of things that it could protect itself with. But this is actually at the museum in Albuquerque. This is a wonderful display. This is a thing called its name is Butneria perfecta, and it's an amphibian. And I picked this out because down near Lamy, New Mexico, there was a block of rock, maybe about 8 by 10 feet, where there's dozens of heads of these things. They're all like together. And it's been taken to the Museum of Natural History in New York, but it was found in Lamy, so in Triassic aged rocks. Then these things had real flat heads. Okay, these are iodosaurs. Okay, now let's just get dimensions here. This one above, length about 4.75 meters, so 15, 16 feet or something long. So if it's that long, it's about 3 feet high. And there were different kinds of iodosaurs that have been found. You know, kind of this one at the bottom right, kind of wide, not so wide, skinnier. But the Chinle group contains the most diverse and abundant record of iodosaur fossils in the world. Now, I just get all this from the book here, but that's what it says. And so it's kind of amazing, that Ghost Ranch area in the Chinle here. Phytosaurs, Coelophysis, and these iodosaurs. Now we're moving into the Jurassic age. So we're still in the Mesozoic, into Jurassic, and above the Chinle, there's the Entrada sandstone over there in the upper left. That's that lighter brown sandstone above the Chinle I showed in that former slide. On top of that, something called the Todilto Formation, which is full of gypsum. They think a lake evaporated and deposited gypsum. And then on up through a couple other formations to a very famous formation called the Morrison Formation. And the Morrison Formation in the United States and Canada, this is where many, many, many dinosaurs have been found. It's very, very famous. In New Mexico, not that many dinosaurs have been found in Morrison formations here, although you're going to see some big time ones were. But there's more dinosaur fossils in Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Alberta than New Mexico in the Morrison. So what I'd like to do, one thing about the Morrison, this is where most of the uranium was found between, I think, 1950, 1980. 40% of all the uranium the U.S. produces from the Morrison Formation, kind of out near Grants. And it's also known for dinosaurs. And there's the Bone Wars, Edward Cope and Othniel Marsh. So, but in New Mexico, we did find, there are found things, and let me just point it out here while I got it. Okay. Near Laguna, at something called the Peterson Quarry, southwest of San Isidro, and near Tucumcari. They found theropods. Now, an Allosaurus and a Saurophagonix. These were kind of beginning to look like T-Rexes. Stegosaurs have been found in New Mexico, and sauropods. Sauropods are the ones with the big long necks and tails, the huge things, have been found near San Isidro itself. And probably New Mexico's most famous dinosaur, the Seismosaurus, was found west of San Isidro in 1979. And let's see, I've got some pictures of them coming up. But if you wanted to see Jurassic aged rocks in New Mexico, you'd go in New Mexico where the black is. So once again, Ghost Ranch is right up here. And in Jurassic time, this picture here, it's called the Entrada Erg. And remember that Entrada sandstone, that kind of light brown, it's a sandstone. It's an Aeolian dune deposit. This whole area here, they think, was covered by sand dunes, kind of like the Sahara during Entrada time. And then this image on the left, this is later in Jurassic time, and this is the Todilto Salina Basin. They think water began to evaporate and precipitate limestone and gypsum That's where the Tobilto Formation came from. And then here's the Morrison in late Jurassic time. At this time, they think those river systems flowed from the southwest to the northeast up through New Mexico, Colorado. Okay, you gotta go. This is a picture of the New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Science, Albuquerque. You've got to go. Okay, this room is the Jurassic room, and in it they have this model of the Seismosaurus. Here's its tail, and it goes around. Here's its body, and there's its neck. And this model actually went to Japan a couple decades ago. And then they've got it. This is one of these Saurophaganax. It's kind of like a T-Rex. They have it attacking. Okay. And right here is a Stegosaurus. But they have wonderful displays. And, not every bone was found here. Okay. And very rarely do you have every one, but they feel they've got enough to have a pretty good idea of what these things look like. Okay, I've got some dinosaur bones up here, and a few of you were looking at them. These were given to me by David Thurston, who taught geology at Los Alamos High School for many years. He passed away, and all his stuff came to the University of New Mexico, Los Alamos, and I inherited it. So I want to take this down to let the folks at the museum help me know what they are, and some of you might be able to help me tonight. Okay, we're getting up into the Cretaceous, and do I have 5 minutes? Okay, Cretaceous. Okay, now in New Mexico, Cretaceous age rocks, we've now moved to the Paleozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic. We're in recent life. And most of these rocks are exposed in the northwest part of New Mexico, the San Juan Basin, they call it, and the northeast part of New Mexico called the Raton Basin. And most of the fossils are found in what's called the Fruitland Formation and the Kirtland Formation, which are later. So let's look at some pictures of things found in the Cretaceous. Well, again, here's the locations, mostly northwest, northeast. And during the Cretaceous period, the ocean covered, like look at number 1, the ocean is the white part of the map, the speckled is land. So in early Cretaceous, or 100 million years ago, the eastern part of New Mexico was covered by water. Then 94 million years ago, they think it had almost completely covered New Mexico. And then it began to recede and continue receding till 69 million years ago. We don't have marine rocks in New Mexico younger than 69 million years. Now, this is the Bisty beast. This creature here is a relative of a T-Rex. It's a little older. It's not quite as big, but this is something. It's animatroned. If you go to the museum, you can get right up to that thing, and he looks right at you, and he breathes on you, and he moves a little bit. And some of the bones here, these were found up there in the San Juan Basin. I took this picture, the only picture. Okay, this is outside the museum. They call this Spike. And, we've all heard of Triceratops. But in New Mexico, they haven't found Triceratops, but they found a Pentaceratops, five horns. And so this is Spike the Pentaceratops, kind of a bronze statue of him. It was discovered again in the San Juan Basin in northwest New Mexico. Okay, there were ankylosaurs. These things, they'd be a good running back, I think. They had these spikes on them. They're mostly in New Mexico, known by these dorsal shoots, they call them. These things on the back. kind of like turtles have things that make up their shell. I'm hustling here. There is some evidence of mosasaurs and plesiosaurs in New Mexico during this time, during Cretaceous time. That's a model of one in the museum. The right-hand model is by Mary Anning back in 1823. Are we done? Oh, okay. Okay, but that was her plesiosaur drawing. Okay, we're coming up more recently. Again, most of these rocks are in the northwest, northeast. I'm going to have to kind of hustle. That was the Paleocene. Here's the Eocene. Now, okay, we're going to see some other wild stuff here. There were sloths, bones of sloths found, and horses. Okay, so perissodactyls, okay, are animals that have hoofs that have odd numbered of toes, like 1, 3, that sort of thing. Arteriodactyls have even number of toed hoofs. They're things like deer, cattle, sheep, pigs, camels, giraffes. Okay. In the Oligocene, you have these things called oreodonts. I thought these were animals that ate Oreos. Okay. Now you'll notice a lot of these have that daunt to them. A lot of animals are identified mostly by their teeth, or primarily, so daunt, kind of like dental. But oreodont had these mountain teeth. They kind of looked like mountain ranges, but they were about the size of sheep. Okay, Miocene, lot to talk about here, but let's look at some of the animals found in Miocene age rocks. I kind of like this guy, Gomphotheriums. They were sort of an elephant type creature, but not as big. Like this number 1 there, he was about my height at his shoulders, but he looked like an elephant, and he had 4 tusks, 2 at the bottom and 2 at the top. So they've actually found quite a few of these. And camels. Okay, this camel was found in a gravel pit near Albuquerque, and there is when it was getting excavated, and these are a restoration of its skeleton and maybe what it looked like. But the area between Santa Fe and Espanola is rich in Eocene fossils, camels, Gomphotheriums, this kind of stuff. Now, I don't know where to go, but the people at the museum would, maybe others. But it's a rich supply of these kind of fossils. Other camels of Miocene age. Now we're getting closer. Pliocene, we're only about 5 million years ago. And there's some weird things they found in these age rocks, glyptodonts and sloths, and mammoths, now into the Pleistocene, and bison. Let's look at a few of these. So Pliocene. Okay, this thing at the bottom, this is a glyptodont. They're related to armadillos, but they can get the size of Volkswagen Beetles. So glyptodonts, and these upper 2 things are sloths. And they were the slow moving. They had these big claws here. They've been found. And this is height. So that's like 3.5 feet high. And this one here is about 3.5 feet high. So it'd be like a creature about like that. Okay, there were large bears that have been found in Pleistocene rocks in deposits in New Mexico. The black bear at the top is compared to a grizzly. The bones are slightly bigger than a grizzly bear. And the bottom is basically a saber-toothed tiger or saber-toothed cat. They're called smilodons. These have been found in New Mexico Pleistocene. And we're kind of getting up real close now. Folsom, New Mexico, is a place where they found what's called Folsom Points. This is like a spearhead, and this spearhead was found in a deposit in between the rib bones of extinct bison, this guy here, a bison antiguus. So it seems to be the first evidence of man and bisons here at Folsom, New Mexico. I have had the privilege to go there with a few people in this place. Okay, there were mammoths and mastodons here. And these things are not that rare. I mean, they have been found by people that look for them. Now, okay, mammoth teeth and mastodon teeth are different. Okay, so this is the right lower jaw of an imperial mammoth that was found near Roswell in Pleistocene deposits. And this is the molar teeth of a mastodon, and that was from the Sandia Mountains by Albuquerque. So it's kind of wild. We've got the whole thing. I don't know what this creature is. Okay, so I think that's it. Thanks for bearing with me. I think now we could have some questions, and there's no stupid question. There's just stupid answers. Okay, now that's a joke my friend that is in here said. But his answers are usually pretty good. But I'll try my best. If anybody has a question, either online or just right here. And if you give me a question here, I'll repeat it. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Well, most of those ages there are done by other radiometric techniques. They like use uranium and lead and argon and things. But there's other techniques they can use, because like radiocarbon dating, you can maybe go back 40,000 years or something. But these other ones can go back millions and even billions of years. Mm-hmm. Okay. Whew. Okay. Oh, the question. Oh, I forgot to repeat the question. It was like, how do they date things that are very, very old if they can't use radiocarbon dating? And so, okay, thank you.
I don't know if I'm on the microphone so people online can hear me too. I don't know if I interrupted you about Mary Anning. I just got excited back here. I didn't mean for you to go faster. Sorry. But I was wondering if you were going to say a little bit more about Mary Anning in particular.
Well, I will. Mary Anning was a lady. She lived on the southern coast of England. She came from a poor family. And along the southern coast of England, it's called the Jurassic Coast. And the waves hit those beaches, and out of those rocks there, she found plesiosaurs, ichthyosaurs, all kind of ammonites, all kinds of stuff. And she, oh yeah, everybody heard your question. And so that's kind of basically how she made her living. She'd find these and sell them to collectors, and that was during the time in England where people were really getting into fossils. And many of the professors would come to her from Cambridge and Oxford. Hey, Mary, you got any new stuff? But she was very famous. She often went with a dog. I forget the dog's name, but very dear to her. And the dog was killed in a landslide. They were like looking for fossils. But okay, Mary Anning's a cool person, kind of the mother of fossil hunting. Mary Anning. Uh-huh. Well, I think it was kind of like I think she found this plesiosaur in 1823. So she may have been, I think she kind of was like early 1800s, and then she died about 1849, I think, when she was about 50, I think. Okay, thank you for that question. Anybody online or yes, sir? Okay, what we'd like to do, and do you want to talk to that about the slides?
Yeah.
If anyone wants this presentation,
right.
We'll
what we'll do is we'll put these in PDF format, and if you would like to we might just honestly share them with everybody if they're in PDF form, just because there's a lot of good text on it as well.
Yeah.
We'll do that. So if you are walking today in person and didn't leave your email but would like these slides, please make sure I get your email before you leave.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Yes, sir. Danny. Oh, okay. Um, yeah, I think I might have that on that page. Oh, I was asked this slide that you're seeing, um, the Folsom Point associated with ribs of the extinct Bison antiguus, discovered in 1927 near Folsom. Um, I think back here, on this slide here, they think the Folsom Point, at least in 2008 in this book, they kind of dated it around 10,500 years before the present. And now Clovis is also famous. They've got their point. It's a little bit different how it was made. And the Clovis point, kind of they dated in sediments around 11,500. Okay, so that's from the book there. Thank you for that.
We did get a question about a couple questions about the hike that we're having this Saturday. So we do have a program called Fossil Field Trip. It is full now, but I mean, we have a wait list available if anyone wants to register for that. So was a couple questions we got online.
Okay. Oh, kids and through adults. Uh-huh. Oh, those were the. Okay. I should have started with the mammoths first. Yeah, I should have. I think I know who that was. My two daughters are, hello, daughters in Denver. Okay.
How important was human contribution to the extinction of large fauna?
Okay. Okay, I'd heard about that idea, and this book seemed to kind of give some more information on that. What's being talked about is these large fauna, like the mammoths, the mastodons, these glyptodonts, these gomphotheriums, these large animals. They appear that, like, they were still alive like 12,000 years ago, and it appears they died off in a period of maybe 1,000 years, which kind of corresponds to Folsom points and Clovis points. This book, very, very good. He didn't say that was definitely it. We were coming out of a glacial period. There were changes in the environment, but it does seem suspicious that with the arrival of man and the ability to hunt, and these animals probably, well, like their deer in Los Alamos. I mean, you can come up to a deer, hi, I'm in a car, I'm going to hit you. He's like, huh? Okay. Okay. So, they probably had never seen a man, and, oh, what's that sharp thing there? Okay. So it seemed like he kind of implied that could have been a major factor in the extinction of the large fauna around that time. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, fossilization and petrification. Okay, yeah, that's right. You're a German teacher. The question was, what's the difference between fossilization and petrification? Okay, well, when I hear the word petrify, I think made into a rock, like petrology. Yeah, my name, Peter, means rock. Okay, I think it was because of my head. But petrification and fossilization. Well, maybe fossilization is a little broader, like petrification kind of means turning into a rock, like maybe silica getting into a tree, makes it kind of like a rock, whereas some fossils could become carbon, like, that everything can be volatilized away except for the black carbon, like leaves and stuff. So maybe fossilization has more categories than just petrification. Okay, thank you. I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that distinction. Okay, okay, yeah. That petrification had to do with plants. I haven't heard that distinction myself. Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have? Uh-oh. Fraser Goff, yes, sir. Okay. On the field trip on Saturday, we're going to go up to the Jemez region near Battleship Rock, and there is Madera Formation limestone there. So that's Pennsylvanian age. And it's kind of at a contact between a younger a volcanic tuff that filled a valley. So it's kind of, the Madera is 300 million years old next to the volcanic tuff there is at 74,000 year old volcanic tuff right next to it. So it'll be Madera limestone. So we'll have some acid bottles. We'll be able to fizz the rocks that fizz with acid or carbonates. And there we'll find some fossils. Brachiopods, crinoids, that sort of thing.
I
Yes,
do have
ma'am.
a question.
Okay, if you're coming on that field trip, we should have good weather. So we're not going to hike far, but we will hike about a quarter mile, a little bit downgrade, and then kind of over some rocks, but it's a trail. I'd bring lunch, water, something to walk in, a half mile, out and back, and some sunscreen and a hat.
Yep. I also sent an email with information
Oh,
today. So if you have any questions.
and you could bring a hammer because we can take anything we can bring out of there.
Okay, question online. Where were mosasaur fossils found? Assuming lower west where the ocean areas were, do we know where they pushed through changing of the continents or if they existed in oceans here?
Yeah, okay. So the question has to do with those mosasaurs. Okay, so those are back into Cretaceous. And that's a very good question right there, because during the Cretaceous, there was a period of time where we had what's called the Western Interior Seaway. The ocean had come up over quite a bit of New Mexico, and you saw it in the pictures, and then it went away. What I remember reading in this book here, Paleontology of New Mexico, they haven't found a lot of mosasaur evidence, but they found small parts of mosasaurs, parts of the vertebrates, etc. But mosasaurs are found more in Texas and stuff, from what I remember in the book. So let's see, the question, gosh, could you repeat the question? I'm not sure if I answered it well.
It's multiple questions, but mainly I think the meat of it is where were the mosasaur fossils found
Okay.
in New Mexico?
Okay. In the book, I don't think the author said the little parts of the mosasaurs where they found them, but it did say something like parts of mosasaurs have been found. But
Okay,
it didn't
and
say where.
right, and their secondary portion is do they think that they might have been pushed up through the changing of the continents, or if they existed in the oceans here?
Okay. I think the author here, and my understanding would be they lived in the Cretaceous Sea, and they were kind of they were kind of the sharks of the day. And they lived in the Cretaceous Seaway, which kind of had its western border right up through New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming. They call that the dinosaur trackway. There's something like 35 different places where dinosaur fossils have been found on the coast, they think. And then the east coast of the Cretaceous Seaway was kind of out in Nebraska and that area. Good question. Thank you. Anyone else? Mm-hmm. Okay. You can use those here at this outcrop. There's shale and limestone. Yeah, yeah. Bring the things you've brought before, and we'll be there at the site for a couple hours, and then we'll be returning. Oh gosh, uh, Mrs. Hanlon's here. If you have I am going to bring 12 hand lenses. If you don't have a hand lens, I've got 12 that I'll bring. Okay.
But yeah, and just for people who are interested and didn't get to make it in this time, we might do it again. Who knows? We'll let you know. Ah, sorry. Okay, so it looks like we no longer have any questions online. Is there any more questions in the room? If not, we will end it here. Thank you so much, Pete. That was amazing.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
And yeah, everyone have a great evening and check our website for upcoming programs. Thank you so much. Drive safe.
Thank you all for coming.